Hello, it's RDO. I'm going to do a Divine Feminine reading. If you've been here, you might know or not know that I keep my decks in silk pouches because you're supposed to wrap your tarot decks in silk, but that's not very reasonable to be wrapping silk around decks and trying to carry them around. So I get these raw silk things to put them in, and then I scent them with essential oils because I think smell is very important too. I mean, it's one of your senses, and that's actually one of my my most heightened senses is smell. I can tell a lot about the smell of things and the smells that come to me. But anyways, I sent my Divine Feminine package with rose, neroli, jasmine, and lang lang, and it really puts me in a Divine Feminine mode. Sorry, I just suck some dust out of that. And I also keep different rocks and crystals and stuff in here. So I've got pink Lemurian, which connects you with the Divine Feminine, and it has the information etched into it. Rose quartz, which it helps to bring love. Amethyst helps to open your crown chakra. Clear quartz, which makes everything stronger. Selenite, which charges crystals. It never needs charged. It has its own charge, and it charges other crystals. And Moldavite, which is just a very powerful meteorite, actually. So those are the crystals I keep in my Divine Feminine packet, and the smells I use. But let's get started on actually reading for Divine Feminine. The Page of Swords. It's a young person just learning their way through their sign or their suit's way of thinking, their intellect. Page of Swords is air and intellect. It's Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. But the Page of Swords is very young, youngest of the court cards, so they are just learning how to think, basically. Just learning how to put two and two together and how to use what they know in an appropriate manner. So that's the current situation for the Divine Feminine. This particular Divine Feminine is just learning how to use their personal gifts. It's covered by the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands is fighting, but not fighting hard. It's just like you're arguing with someone, you're bickering over stuff. So that's blocking the Divine Feminine from growing into their role even further. Is the bickering going on between, I don't know, different Divine Feminines, between the Divine Feminine and others who are trying to hold her back, keep her from becoming truly in her power. And here's the Emperor, the basis for it all, which makes sense because the Emperor is the Divine Masculine. And I think coming into contact with the Divine Masculine would make the Divine Feminine want to come more into her own power in order to be able to push back against him in a better way, because the Divine Feminine and the Divine Masculine are very set in their ways. They're very binary. And they should become more non-binary, but that's not what we're reading for. We're not reading for a non-binary idea. We're reading for the divine feminine. So the divine feminine is trying to develop in order to push back against the divine masculine at this particular time, this particular divine feminine. The 8 of Pentacles is the apprentice. So the divine feminine is learning from the bottom up how to, has recently started learning from the bottom up how to use her knowledge and her gifts to her advantage. The 5 of Swords. So currently, or recently, right now, very recently, something happened that upset you, upset the divine feminine very much. I mean, 5 swords worth. And so she's having to make decisions on how to deal with this upset, how to deal with it as a divine feminine. And that could be difficult, especially since she's just coming into her strength. 10 of Wands, carrying 10 of Wands. That's what this looks like. That's what this upset has caused, is that now feels like she's carrying a huge burden. Maybe of the people that caused the upset, or maybe because she can't find her way out. That's probably it. She can't find her way out of this upset, and it's creating an enormous burden on her. So, divine feminine, I say lay down your burden and go back into a world of the mind until you've grown enough to know how to deal with things in your manner, in your own way. The 4 of Cups. The 4 of Cups means basically boredom, or sick of something. You're tired of something. You're bored of it. It doesn't interest you anymore. So maybe carrying that burden around, you are laying it down. You're sick of it. You're going to put it down, and you're going to continue on a more important path, on a more useful path to finding your energy as the divine feminine. Deck's really having to think over what it's saying. This must be for some very specific people. Some very specific people working on their divine feminine traits and thinking. You're just realizing that they are the divine feminine. Maybe it's people who were raised as male, trying to understand their divine feminine traits. It's very difficult. Because, you know, in our culture, males and females are raised quite differently in most situations. But it may not be. I mean, it's just an idea. Is that the 6 of Wands? Well, you are victorious in your pursuit of trying to understand your divine feminine purpose and role and way of thinking. So you're definitely making progress. And other people are happy for you. Divine feminine or not, other people, other maybe even other divine masculines, other signs, whoever. There are people who are happy for you that you are learning your way in this particular sort of life. That's why it's taking so long for cards to come out, because it is for such a small, specific group of people. The Seven of Pentacles. That is patience, which is very important, especially when trying to learn how to act in the way you are most comfortable. I feel that the Divine Feminine is most comfortable for some people, that becoming fully immersed in what is considered feminine ways is how some people are meant to be. I mean, every person is meant to be different. Everyone acts in a different way. And the Divine Feminine, the reason I read for it is because it seems out of date. But there are still people who are completely immersed in that way of thinking, that way of life, feeling that way. And it's not just women. There are men becoming women, there are women becoming men, any sort of person can feel that the Divine Feminine is their path. And it takes patience to learn that path. And it takes patience to find out if that even is your path. So, doing a good job there, taking your time, figuring out what is right for you. Ending up with the Nine of Cups, all the wishes fulfilled. So everything you wanted to get out of being Divine Feminine, you are going to get it. Everything you feel you need from this particular path is going to be perfect for you. It's going to make you feel complete. And for that, I'm very happy for you. And you should be very thankful if you are on this path and it is your path, that to know that you're going to feel like a complete person when you've traveled it to the end. And this was Ardeo.